And welcome to today's beginner Pilates mat session with me, Sue from Fit Panda. So we're going to be starting standing on our mat. So you're going to want to get your mat ready and potentially a towel or a cushion if you know that you're going to need some sort of support when you're sitting or lying down on the mat. You can go ahead and get that ready. So we're going to start standing with the feet hip width parallel to one another underneath the body. Arms lengthened down beside you. So really encourage the arms to be next to your body, not curling in front of your body. And then broadening out through your chest from there. We're spreading the weight out equally through the feet from the toes to the ankles. And then you're just going to stay here, stay standing. And we're going to lean forward into the toes as much as you can, to the point that it feels like your heels want to lift off the mat. And then start to lean backwards into your heels till the point where your toes start to lift off the mat. And let's repeat that 2 more times. So just kind of explore how far you can go in either direction without actually falling. And if you do lose your balance, it's fine. Just take a little step, gather yourself, and then try again. And you're going to start to feel some of the muscles in your body engaging to stop you from falling. Leg muscles mostly, a little bit of abdominals. So you can sway forward and back 1 more time. And then come to center yourself with the weight spreading out through the feet again. We're going to softly bend into the knees as you curl your head forward. Take a deep breath in and exhale. We're going to roll forward and down through the spine. So going as low down as your back feels comfortable, keeping that softness in the knees, lengthening through the back of the neck. Take a breath in. And then exhale, start to curl back up. So draw your tummy muscles in as you unravel your spine 1 vertebra at a time, till the shoulders and the head lift and everything straightens back up again. Then again, we're going to stay standing and we're going to do the little game where you lean forward and back, but we're going to do it with eyes closed this time. So closing your eyes so that there's no visual feedback, and then starting to lean forward into your toes until your heels start to feel light. And then similarly, we're going to lean back into the heels until your toes start to feel light. And it's going to be a little bit more scary now that you've got your eyes closed. But just know that you've got this. Go 1 more time each way. Really lean into the toes. Find that moment where you almost fall, and then lean back into the heels, finding that moment where you almost fall. Then we're going to center the weight again through the soles of the feet or through the bottom of the feet, still with your eyes closed. Let your knees softly bend. Start to bring your head forward as you breathe in, and then do a roll down with your eyes closed. So you've done this many times before. You know what it feels like. We're just doing it without being able to see where you're going. So your body just rolls forward and down, sinking as low as your back allows you to go. If you're worried about falling, you can, of course, open your eyes. Otherwise, try to keep them closed as we take a breath in and exhale to roll back up through the spine, drawing your tummy muscles in. So you're unraveling from the base of your spine all the way up until your head lifts. And then once your head has lifted and you're standing again, you can open your eyes once again. So that we can stay here, taking that left arm up in line with your ear and then leaning over to the right for a little side stretch. Take a breath. Then we move through the center, switch the arms, and lean over to the other side to stretch out the length of the other side of your body. Then we'll come back to the center. We're going to stay standing, and we're going to bring the heels together. So your toes will stay apart, but your heels will swing in together. So you look like a little ballerina there with a little V in the feet. Sweeping the arms up to interlace your fingers behind the back of your head. Bring your elbows just slightly forward so that they're in the corner of your vision and your shoulder blades can relax. Draw your tummy muscles in and then press your head slightly into your hands. So you feel that connection between your hands and your head is quite strong. Then we're going to go for some balancing from here. So keep your toes pressing into the mat. Take a breath and start to float your heels up off the floor. And then gently lower the heels back down to tap the mat. So as you lift onto your toes, maybe your heels will come slightly apart. But when you lower them back onto the mat, try to super glue them back together to your starting position. So we lift and lower. And let's go for another 5. And down. And 4, and down, and 3. Keep all of your toes pressing into the mat, and 2. And one more time, we're going to lift onto the toes, and then you can lower those heels all the way back down towards the floor. And we're going to step the feet out now a little bit wider than your hips. So almost like you're going to go into a squat. So I still have the toes a little bit wider than the heels, but we've taken the feet wider than the hips. Your arms are going to go out into a T, so a straight line on either side of you, palms facing down. Think of your arms helping you to balance. They're there just keeping you balanced. Draw your tummy muscles in, and we're going to repeat where you lift the heels up off the mat and then gently tap them back down again. Think about going up towards the ceiling as opposed to leaning forward. Imagine that you had like a glass pane in front of your body, so you can't lean forward, you can only go up and come back down again. And we go for 5, and the same thing, we want to try keep those toes grounded into your mat for another 4, and 3, and 2. Exhale every time you lift. And your last one, lift the heels, and then land the heels back down, relaxing the arms, and we're going to come to lie down on our mats. So you can just make your way down onto your mat to lie on your back. So our setup here while we're on our back is going to be arms in a low V position. So arms will be off the edges of the mat with your palms facing up, and you're going to place your right ankle on top of your left knee. So you're creating like the number 4 with your legs. I'm flexing through the right ankle, so my right foot is flexed, my right knee is supported with that flex of the foot, and then keep this exact shape of your legs like they've been cast in cement, but start to tilt your pelvis over towards the right. So as you tilt over to the right, your legs will move over to the right until your knee of your right leg touches onto the floor. So it's a little twist with the knee tapping onto the floor. Hold it there for a breath. Then bring the legs back up, keep the shape, tilt your pelvis over to the left, so now your foot will touch the floor. Your right foot will end up planted into the floor. Think about trying to open your right knee outward slightly towards the ceiling to open up your hip into a little hip stretch. Hold it there for a breath. And then we'll bring everything back to the center and switch the legs. So place your right foot on the mat and put your left ankle on top of your right knee. So we start by going towards the knee. So you're going to go towards the left-hand side first to get your left knee to touch the floor. Hold it for a breath. Then move up through the center and tilt over to the right to get your foot to stand on the floor. If you find that your arms are in the way at all, just take them a little bit wider. You don't want to be standing on your hand. And then we're opening the left knee up towards the ceiling, holding it for a breath. And then we'll bring it back to the center, unravel, and place both of your feet hip width and parallel apart on the mat. So you're setting your feet and your legs up ready for a pelvic curl, but we're going to keep the arms in a low V position so that you can open up your chest, press the backs of the shoulder blades downwards into the mat as you settle into your neutral spine. From there, we take a breath in. On the exhale, start to tuck your pelvis so that your lower back starts to press downwards into the mat, and then we'll lift the tailbone up off the floor and peel all the way up through your spine to come up into your bridge. So only going as high as you can go that you still have your tailbone tucked, that we're not starting to arch the back, as though you're just this straight line running from your shoulders down towards your knees with your feet super glued into the mat. They don't move, but imagine that you're trying to pull your feet towards your body so that the back of your legs are activated. And then we'll take a breath there. And we're going to roll back down, still with that feeling of trying to pull the feet inwards towards your body as you melt your spine down into the mat. Land your pelvis, come back to neutral, feel the space under your spine return. Breathe in, prepare as you expand your ribs. Exhale, tilt the pelvis towards you, lift and roll back up into your bridge. So we're peeling up through the spine, getting that articulation of the spine, keeping the shoulders and the neck relaxed. Breathe in at the top. And then melts back down again as though you're trying to stretch out each vertebra into the mat one at a time. Land the pelvis back onto your mat. Stay here in your neutral, but then bring the arms down next to your body with the palms facing down as well. So we've got 2 straight arms next to us. And then do a little check just before we do actually go up, that where you have your feet on the mat, you are able to flex your feet. So you're able to lift the toes and the balls of the feet off the mat and keep the heels down. If you have your feet too far away from you, that can be a little bit of a struggle, and you might end up having, if you have the feet too close to you, it can be a struggle, in which case take your feet a little bit further away from you if you need to. We're going to start though with the feet flat down in the mat, so toes and heels pressing down into the mat. Take a breath in, prepare, and then exhale, we go for another pelvic curl. Tuck the tailbone in, lift your tailbone, peel your spine up into your bridge, vertebra for vertebra, keeping the hips nice and high, so squeezing the glutes to keep the height of the hips. Make sure your neck is relaxed, because we're going to stay here. We're going to dig the heels into the mat, and you're going to curl the toes and the balls of the feet up off the floor like we did when you were on the mat, so that you really feel the pressure of your heels digging into the floor. Keep that strong flex of the ankles, and we're going to do little pulses with your hips going up towards the ceiling from here. We press up for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and the last one. Place the toes back down onto the mat. Keep your hips nice and high, and float the arms back up to the ceiling. With the arms facing the ceiling, bend the elbows out to the sides of the room so your fingertips can touch. So you make like a little diamond shape with your arms, and then take that diamond back so that your hands can rest on the floor behind you with your arms in a diamond. The arms are going to stay there. Breathe in. And then we're going to roll back down through the spine, just leaving the arms behind you as you slowly articulate your way down through your spine, all the way till your pelvis lands on the mat and you find your neutral shape again. And then we'll stay here to interlace the fingers and glide the hands in behind the back of your head. So the part of your head that was touching onto the mat is now resting into your hands. Elbows slightly lifted off the mat again to get a nice broad upper back position. Let your feet and your legs feel quite light as we prepare for your chest lift. You're going to breathe in, expand the ribs. On your exhale, start to curl your head and your shoulders up and over your rib cage. So you're lifting up over the ribs to look at your own knees. Take a breath there. And then exhale, lengthen your spine slowly back down into your mat, vertebra for vertebra. And let's go again, breathing in at the bottom, using the power of your exhale to curl yourself up and over. So as your upper body lifts into flexion, you're stretching out your spine, and your lower back will start to gently touch against the mat. Flatten your tummy muscles as you hold it here, and then lengthen yourself back down so that you come back into your neutral position. One more time, breathing in. And exhale, we're going to curl back up and over, keeping the elbows nice and wide. Take a breath and then lengthen back down. So we're keeping the elbows wide so that you're not tempted to pull with your arms. Your hands are just there to support your neck. They're not the thing doing the lifting. We're going to come up to stay up, breathing in, and exhale, curl back up over the ribs, rounding the upper spine so that you're looking forward at your own knees. Now the legs and the hips are staying exactly where they are as we start to rotate towards the left. So you're going to lift your right shoulder blade up over the left one so that you just tip a little bit over onto your left shoulder blade. Then move through the center with your chest and then tip over towards your right shoulder blade. Breathe in through center. Let's do 2 more each way. So swiveling through your waist to look just past one thigh, and then swiveling through the waist to look just past the other thigh. Let's go 1 more each way. Remember to keep the elbows wide. Your arms are just traveling with you to support your neck. They're not doing anything other than that. After your last one, you can come back to the center for a breath and then lengthen back down into your mat all the way. So once your head is on the floor, we're going to leave our head on the floor with your left hand staying behind your head, but your right hand will release, and you're going to place it on top of your right hip so that your right hand is like a little anchor to make sure that your hips stay in the center, that they stay neutral as your left leg becomes light. We're going to float the left leg up into tabletop position with a little point through the ankle, and that little bit of space under your lower back is still there. So enough space for a little grape to be on the mat underneath your lower back. And we're not going to squash the grape, but we're going to hinge from your left hip to gently tap your toe on the mat, and then exhale, lift it back up. Let's do 4 more. So the only thing that's really moving is that hip joint, and lift and last 3. Exhale, lift, and last 2. Exhale, lift, and the last 1. Exhale and lift. Now we're going to keep it here, still without your right hip or your right leg moving. Your left leg is now going to fan open towards the left-hand side of the room. So you're still moving inside the hip, but you're going out towards the left instead of down towards your mat in a straight line. And then bring the leg back up so the knee is back over your hip. So you're opening the leg with the foot. The whole leg goes over to the left as far as you can go that your hips don't move. And then come back to face the ceiling with that knee. Let's go for 3 more. Inhale, open. Exhale, lift. 2 more. Open. And lift. Keep drawing your abdominals in for support. 1 more time. And then lift, and let's keep the left leg in tabletop. Place your right hand back behind your head so that you've got both hands there. Take a breath in, expand the ribs, and then let's curl the head and the shoulders back up to join the party. So coming up into your chest lift, now we're going to stay in our chest lift. So you're looking at your own legs. You're going to hinge from your hip to do a toe tap, so a straight line down and up inside the hip socket. Then we're going to fan the left leg out towards the left-hand side. And lift it back up and repeat just the leg movement. We tap straight down, exhale, lift. We fan the leg open to the left-hand side, exhale, lift without your right leg moving. Keep an eye on it. We're going to do 1 more, tap down and lift. Fan the leg open to the side, lift. And then you can place your foot all the way back down on the mat. Take a breath and exhale, lengthen everything else back down to the mat so that your head is resting on the floor once again. This time, the left hand is going to come around to hold your left hip still. So right hand is still behind the head like a little cushion. And your right leg becomes light. We're going to lift that right leg into tabletop. A little bit of space under your lower back so your grape is back in place. And then we're going to hinge from the hip for a straight toe tap. So you tap and you lift. The angle of the knee doesn't change. The knee is doing nothing here. It's all about the hip. And lift. Inhale, 3 more. Exhale, lift. And last 2. Exhale, lift. And last 1. Exhale, lift. Then we're ready to go out to the side of the room. So your right leg is going to open. So your inner thigh is going to shine up towards the ceiling as your leg opens to the right. And then lift it back up over your hip. Inhale to fan open to the right. Exhale to lift. The space for the grape under your lower back is the same. We haven't squashed it. And your left leg and left hip are still anchored. And you can go 1 more time. Inhale to fan the leg open. Exhale to lift it back over the hip. Then place your left hand behind your head as well, fingers interlaced, so that we can breathe in, prepare. And exhale, curl the head and the shoulders up over the rib cage to lift back into your chest lift. So now we've definitely squashed the grape. As your upper body curls up, your lower back will start to gently press towards the mat. Keep that connection, stay looking forward. As we inhale, hinge from the hip, tap your toe on the mat. Exhale, lift, and then go to fan the leg out towards the right-hand side of the room, and then bring it back over the hip. Inhale, tap forward, so we're alternating the movement, and then take it out to the side of the room. Your chest stays lifted. 1 more time. We're going to tap and lift, and then we're going to take the leg out to the side of the room. Bring the leg back up. Place your foot back on the mat. Keep your chest lift. Just check that your knees are the same height. Then sweep the arms forward, palms facing down. See if you can come up a little higher in your chest lift as you do that. Then the arms will start to lift as you go down with your shoulders and your head. And you can finish by stretching your arms all the way back onto the floor behind you for a little stretch of your abdominals. Settling everything back into neutral, and then floating the arms to face up towards the ceiling, turning the palms to face towards each other, and then broadening those shoulder blades down into the mat behind you like a little anchor. You're going to walk your legs to squeeze together, so your feet, ankles, and knees will all be squeezing. And imagine now that you just have one big leg instead of 2 separate legs. Those legs are going to become light, and we're going to float the heels just up off the floor so that you're just on the balls of your feet, very lightly resting the balls of the feet on the mat for your mini spine twist. So start to tilt your pelvis towards the right. Your left ball of your foot and your left hip will lift off of the mat, but keep your shoulder blades anchored into the mat. Then exhale, come back through the center, the knees face the ceiling, and then you'll take it over to the left, peeling that right hip up into your twist. Exhale through center, 2 more each way. Feel the spiral through your lower back, through your mid back, and then center yourself again. Engage your abdominals. Don't just flop the legs from side to side. Exhale, center. Remember to keep your knees one on top of the other. They are squeezing together as you twist. And center. Finish by twisting towards the left because we started on the right and you want to be nice and even. Bring it back to the center of the pelvis, knees facing the ceiling. Then land your heels down into the mat again so that your feet are flat against the mat. Palms face down, lengthen your arms down beside your body with the palms facing down or pressing down into the mat for some pelvic curls. So we're going to do the pelvic curl with your legs squeezing together. So your inner thighs are super glued. Take a breath, prepare. And then off we go. We're going to tilt the tailbone in, lift the pelvis, roll up through the spine, still keeping your legs firmly squeezing together. So you might find that you can't go as high in your pelvic curl with your legs squeezing together, which is fine as long as they're still squeezing, they're very active. Take a breath at the top. Melt down through your spine, still articulating the spine, squeezing the knees together, until your pelvis lands back on the mat, and then you can let your legs relax slightly. Check that the shoulders are staying away from the ears, and we go again. Inhale, prepare. Exhale, start to tuck the tailbone, lift the pelvis, and squeeze the legs together as you roll up. Really squeeze, like you're holding a 10,000 Rand note between those knees that you don't want to let go of. Take a breath at the top. Melt down, drop the ribs, lengthen the spine down into the mat. Come back to your neutral, let the legs soften briefly on your inhale. And then the last one, we tuck and we squeeze and we roll all the way up through the spine, still squeezing actively through your inner thighs, through your glutes, all of the toes against the mat. Breathe in and then melts down, coming down through the spine, landing your pelvis, letting the legs relax slightly once the pelvis is down against the mat. Then we're going to take our arms back up to the ceiling and overhead to touch onto the floor behind you, or as close to as your shoulders will let them go. Float the arms up to the ceiling, take a breath, and then follow the arms to curl up into a chest lift, looking towards your legs. We're going to place the hands onto the outside of the thighs so that your arms can help you lift your legs into tabletop. So I'm using my hands on the legs to help. Pull up into a nice high chest lift, and then keep your legs in tabletop, squeeze them together, and releasing those arms, we're going to go back down, shoulders and head to the mat, arms facing the ceiling. Then open your arms out into your T position, so a straight line from one hand to the other. Kind of settle back into a neutral spine because you might have tucked a little bit. Unless, of course, your back hurts. If your back is hurting, please put your feet lightly on the mat. Go back to the mini spine twist. Otherwise, we're going to do your spine twist with your legs in tabletop. So you'll tilt the pelvis towards the right, peeling that left hip up off the mat, keeping your left shoulder blade anchored against the mat. Exhale, come back through the center. Keep squeezing the knees together as we tilt over to the right. And center. 2 more each way. Think about trying to keep your rib cage relatively still and just kind of swiveling in that midsection of your waist. And center. 1 more time each way. In your own time, press into the back of the arms. Use your arms to help you. Once you've completed your last one, bring your legs back to the center, still in tabletop, and then sweep the arms around behind you again, almost like a little reverse snow angel. Float the arms up off the floor towards the ceiling, palms face your knees, breathe in, and then curl back up to grab onto the back of your thighs again, just like we did earlier. Using the arms to lift nice and high. The higher you come, the easier it is for your neck. Flatten your tummy muscles to keep you there, and release your arms with the palms facing down. And we're just holding it here. Nice straight arms, active abdominals, staying here and breathing. 5, 4, 3, 2, And one, grab onto the back of your thighs again to give yourself a little roll and some momentum so that we can come all the way up to sitting. So we're going to stay in a seated position with both of the legs out straight in front of you. And you're going to take your hands back behind you to rest lightly on your hands with your fingers facing backwards. So my arms or my hands are about shoulder width apart, and I'm only lightly resting the hands on the mat. Imagine that your hands were resting on ice, on very thin ice, so you can't push down too much through your arms. Your spine is nice and straight. If you find that you struggle with the leg lifts here, just take your hands further back. The further back your hands go, the easier it will be, because just the right leg now is going to stay as straight as possible, and you're going to lift it from your hip joint as if you want to get your toe to touch the ceiling, as high as you can go, and then gently down. Maybe it just lifts a centimeter, maybe it lifts all the way up to your nose, and we're sticking with the right leg. Lift and down. Remember not to push into that ice that's behind you. 4 more. And exhale for another 3, keeping that knee nice and straight. And another 2. And your last one with the right leg. Then place the right leg back down on the mat, and your left leg gets a chance to shine. Keep your left leg straight as you lift it towards the ceiling. And down the back is staying straight. The shoulders are out the ears. Let's do 4 more. Lift and down. And 3 more. Exhale, lift and down. And your last 2. And your last one. Lift the left leg. Place the leg back down, and let's drop down onto our elbows. So fold your elbows in underneath you. Your hands will face towards you. And then from here, push through the arms like you're hanging out at the beach, but you're still keeping your arms nice and strong. Bend the knees to slide the feet towards you so you end up almost in a little tabletop-y position here. So option A, which is the slightly easier variation, is to keep your thighs where they are and just take your feet off the mat from your knees. So open the angle of your knees to lift your feet, and then tap your knees or tap your feet back down by moving your knees. Option B is a little bit harder. Option B is moving from your hips. So your feet will have to be a little further away from you, and then you lift from your hip rather than your knee and tap. So you can choose if you're lifting from your knee or lifting from your hip. And we're going to do 4 more. Inhale, tap. Exhale, lift. 3 more. Tap. Exhale, lift. Last 2. Tap. And a lift. Last 1. Tap. And a lift. Place the feet back onto the floor. Push yourself back up again so that we're in a seated position. And then step your hands 3 steps backwards, fingers facing out to the sides of the room to set up like you're going to go into back support. So nice straight arms. We're going to place the right ankle on top of the left knee like we did right at the beginning of the class, and then bend your left knee to get your left foot to plant into the mat. If you feel very trapped here, take your hands a little further back because you do want to get your left foot flat against the mat. You're going to need that leg. Your right ankle is flexed, or your right foot is flexed so that that knee is supported. Then keeping your back straight, keeping your arms straight, push through your arms, 100% maximum push of the arms as you breathe in. And then exhale, just add the pressure through your left foot to lift your hips into your back support. Inhale as you hinge back down, tap the mat with your hips. Let's go 2 more. Exhale, hinge up. Your eyes will end up looking at the ceiling, and then gently down. 1 more time. Exhale, press up. Inhale, tap the hips back down all the way onto the mat. So now you can put weight in your hips. Straighten out your left leg to unravel, and then place your left ankle on top of your right knee. Bend the right knee to slide your foot onto the mat. You want that foot flat on the mat, flexing through the left ankle joint, pushing maximum through the arms that you can. Take a breath and then hinge the hips up. Maybe the hips just lift a centimeter up off the floor. Maybe they lift all the way up to be in line with your knee, and then you tap them back down, and we do 2 more. Exhale, lift. So you go to your maximum height that you feel you have control. Last one, lift. And then lower your hips all the way down onto the mat. Straighten out your right leg, straighten out your left leg, give the wrists a little spin around, and then we're going to get ready for some roll-ups. So if you struggle with the roll up, usually it helps to place a towel behind you, as you can see I'm doing in the video. So I've got it about 5 centimeters away from my bum. So there's a little bit of space between myself and the towel to start with. Make sure you have enough runway behind you so that when you roll down, your head will be on the mat. Bring the arms out in front, palms facing each other, legs squeezing together. If you're struggling to get your back completely upright, you can also bend your knees a little bit just to start with so that you can feel your spine lengthening on the inhale. And then as you exhale, start to tuck the tailbone in round the spine. Everybody's legs will be able to straighten as you roll backwards. If you start to lose control, hold on to one of your legs to give you a little bit of support. We're going to melt all the way down. Once the head is down, stretch the arms back behind you. And we go again. Or we reverse. Bring the arms up, curl the head and the shoulders into a chest lift, and then peel up. Only use the leg if you need it. Otherwise, try to go without the leg until we've got the shoulders back over the hips. Keeping the spine rounded. Breathe in and exhale. We go again. We're going to roll down. Slowly lengthening your spine into your mat with or without the towel. Once your head is down, take your arms back. Float the arms up over the chest. Let's curl into a chest lift. Then deep abdominals are going to peel you up off of the mat. Shoulders above hips. Breathe in. Exhale, melts back down. Lower back, mid back, upper back. Eventually your head comes down. You want to feel very centered on your mat. Float the arms back up. We're coming up one more time. Inhale, chest lift, and then looking at the toes. Peel up through the spine. Pausing with shoulders above the hips. Your next one, we're going to mix it up a little bit. So take a breath and then just roll off the back edge of your sitting bones. So go like quarter of the way down. Your entire spine is still lifted off the mat, but you've rolled off the sitting bones, got your tailbone tucked in. Turn the palms of the hands to face down. Nice straight arms. The only thing that now moves is the shoulder joint, and your arms will go up and down, little pulses in time to our breath. So you'll inhale to prepare, and then we pulse and exhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, and inhale. 3, 4, 5, and exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, and inhale. 3, 4, 5, and exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, and inhale. 3, 4, 5, and exhale. If you want to go a little lower, go a little lower. Inhale. 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you can pause there. Turn the palms of the hands to face each other again. Take a breath and roll the rest of the way down into your mat till your head is down and your arms can stretch back behind you again. And then we're going to be staying down on our mat, is the good news. So if you had a towel, you can move it out of the way, and we're going to come to lie down on our sides. So just roll over, pick a side. Everything's going to be in a straight line, so your body is straight, your head will rest on your bottom arm, and you'll see that Video Sue is going to demonstrate there how you can use a towel to make it a little bit more comfortable for your neck if you need to. So if you find your neck gets very tense when you're resting it on your arm, pop a towel or something soft, a hoodie, between your head and your arm to make a cushion. Legs are straight out. They should feel like they're the same length. So think about lengthening your top leg over your bottom leg, squeezing the legs together. Aim to get your heels to touch. Maybe the toes also touch, but the most important thing is the heels. Then float your legs just up off the floor. Take a breath there, that's our starting position. And then exhale, lift the legs a little bit higher. So lifting from your upper waist, then lower the legs back to the hover. So your legs just stay together like you've just got one giant leg instead of two separate legs that lift and lower. So you want to make little creases in your upper waist in that top oblique and then back to the hover. If you don't need your hand on the mat for balance, pop it onto your thigh with the palm facing down. Lift and lower. And we're going for another 4 and down. And exhale for 3 and down. And exhale for 2. Keep your neck nice and relaxed. And then your last one, lift through the upper waist and then lower the legs all the way down towards the floor. Once your legs are on the floor, imagine that you had a wall behind you along the length of your spine. Keep your back against your imaginary wall, but slide your knees out in front of you so that they bend. So your back and your feet are still touching the imaginary wall, but your knees have bent forwards to about 90-degree bend. Hips are still nicely stacked. You're going to physically hold your top hip still with your hand, like a little kind of gauge to make sure that those hips don't move. So you're holding the hips still, engaging your core, taking a breath to prepare, and then keep your heels squeezing together and open up your top knee towards the ceiling into your clam. So go as high as you can that the hip doesn't move, and then gently back down. Every time you lift, challenge yourself to go a little higher. Can you squeeze the glute a little bit more? Let's go for another 6. And down. Exhale, 5. And down. And the last 4. And down. And 3. Draw your abs in. Think about pulling the ribs inward slightly as well. And on the last one, we are going to hold it. So your knee goes up to the sky and you just keep it there. Keep squeezing your heels together and without letting your hip move. So your hand is your little cheat detector. Just your knee is going to do little pulses going up for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Then lower that leg back down. We're going to keep the bottom leg as it is, bent in this little clam position, but we're going to straighten the top leg out all the way. So straightening it out in line with your body. Then float your leg up about hip height, your top straight leg. Keep hold of your hip to keep it as still as possible. Your leg is super straight, reaching all the way through to the toes, and then we're going to circle the leg. So it's going to come forward and then up towards the ceiling and around. The size of the circle is up to you. Just make sure your hip isn't rolling around. So something between the size of like a little dinner plate to the size of a hula hoop. And we circle for another 5 and 4 and 3 and a 2 and 1. And then you can lower the leg down towards the floor, push yourself up, take your legs to the other side of the mat. Or just roll around to face the other side of the room. Just make sure you're lying on your other side. Starting with our side lift. So you're going to lie down with everything out straight. Legs are straight, spine is straight. You can have a little cushion like I've made there with the towel. And then your legs will float just up off the floor. So a little lift, you're basically a straight line. Once the legs are floating, it's a straight line running all the way through the center of your body. Take a breath there and then exhale to lift the legs a little higher, like you're trying to pull your top hip towards your rib cage and then lengthen it away from the rib cage. Exhale as you lift. Inhale, hover. You can place your hand on your top thigh if you don't need it for balance. Let's go for another 5 and hover. Exhale, 4 and hover. And 3, hover. And 2, hover. Last one, lift the legs to the ceiling and then lower them all the way down to the floor. Keep your feet against your imaginary wall, but bend the knees forward into your clam position, holding onto your top hip. Keep that feeling of drawing the front of your rib cage inwards towards your belly button so that that whole front line of your body is quite active. Squeeze the heels together and let's lift the knee up. And you might be surprised to find that one leg is different to the other and down, or maybe not. Maybe they feel the same. Lift and down. 6 more. Squeeze the glute to get the lift. And 5 more. Lift. Down. Last 4. And the squeeze of the heels is still happening. And your last 2. And on the last one, we hold it with the knee up. Hip doesn't move. Little pulses with your knee going up for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And then lower the leg down and straighten the leg out. So I'm going to straighten the top leg. You're going to float it up about hip height. Really think about trying to reach your foot as far away from you as possible so that everything is lengthened through your waist, through your leg, and then introduce those circles with the leg going forward, up, and around. Forward, up, and around. Just 6 more in this direction. Keep your breath flowing. And another 4, and 3, and a 2, And the last one, and then the leg can go all the way down to the floor. And we're going to roll over actually to lie on our tummies from here. So you're going to roll yourself around into this position. So legs are about hip width apart behind you. Arms are then going to lengthen down into a low V position. So the arms are just off the edges of the mat, basically. Elbows are nice and straight, and the palms of your hands are facing down towards the floor. Your nose is going to be floating just off your mat so that your neck is straight and you're looking down at your own mat. Draw the tummy muscles in and up for support. And then as your spine starts to lengthen, so you're going to reach through the top of your head, and then the head and the chest are going to become light as they float up. The arms are going to come up with you, and then exhale to bring everything back down. So your hands will touch the floor, your nose will almost touch the mat, and we go again. So lengthening, your head and chest lift, your arms float up with you, and exhale back down. You don't have to come up very high. Focus mostly on the length and the lift of the arms to activate the shoulders and the back of the arms. And down. 3 more. The legs just stay. They don't move. Inhale, lift. Exhale, down. Last 2. Inhale, lift with your arms. And down. On the last one, you are going to hold it there. So you're going to float up with your arms. Your body stays exactly where it is, just your arms are going to do little pulses up towards the ceiling. So press the arms up for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then everything can lower back down towards the floor. Bring the arms in so that your hands come kind of just above the line of your shoulders, and then separate the legs a little bit wider than your hips. So setting up in your swan position. So you've bent the elbows, palms facing down, hands just above the line of the shoulders. But my elbows are touching onto the floor, so just make sure your elbows aren't facing up to the ceiling. Spin the knees to shine outwards a little bit so your heels roll in instead of rolling out. Pull the tummy muscles in and up. Then the same thing to begin with. So don't even think about the arms. To start with, just think about the spine lengthening, your head and your chest starting to lift, and then add the feeling of your arms gripping into the floor, and you're almost trying to pull your chest forward and through your arms to come up a little bit higher, like a little wave in your upper spine, and then exhale to slowly come back down. Now, how high you come up is up to you. From here on out, it's up to your back. You don't want to feel any pain or like any crunching in your lower back. So start with the lengthening feeling of the spine. Then add the head and the chest and the push through the arms to come up as high as you feel comfortable. And then exhale, melts back down. Make sure your elbows touch the floor as you come back down. Let's go for 4 more. So maybe potentially straightening the arms completely. Just keep the shoulders away from the ears and melt down. And your last 3. Inhale, float up into your swan. Exhale to come back down. The legs just stay as they are. 2 more times. Breathing in. Articulating up like you're rounding over an invisible ball that's behind your spine or behind your back. And your last one. Inhale as we rise up over that invisible ball. Exhale as we melt back down to look at the mat. And then keeping the arms where they are, walk your legs in towards each other until your legs can squeeze together. So I'm aiming to get the heels to touch together. And then we'll stay just looking at our mat, drawing the abdominals in with the legs squeezing together. Reach through your legs, make them feel really long, and then float the legs just up off the floor. Just a little lift through the legs. Trying to hover the knees just up off the mat, but keeping them straight. So straight, hovering legs. And then we're going to do little claps with your legs clapping together in time with your breath. So we're going to inhale, prepare, and then you're going to clap those legs as you exhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, and inhale. 5, and exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, and inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, and exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2 more breaths. 5, and exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. One more time, breathe in. 5, and exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, and pause with your legs squeezing together for one last breath, and then you can place everything back down to the floor. Push yourself up onto hands and knees. In your 4-point kneeling position, hands under shoulders, knees underneath your hips. Spread the weight out through the palms of your hands, lengthen your spine into your neutral as you breathe in, And then tuck the tailbone in and round your spine into your cat stretch as you exhale. So the eyes will drop to look towards your own legs. Keep the pressure through the arms, keep the pressure through your legs, so into your shins. Then lengthen back out and start to gently arch your back. So we'll let the head and the tailbone lift slightly, shine the collarbones forward, breathe in, and then tuck and round back into your cat stretch. Pull up on your tummy muscles, lengthen back out. Start to gently arch your spine, drawing the shoulder blades down. One more time. Tilt the pelvis in, stretch through your lower back. And then from there, stay looking at your own legs, slide your hands backwards towards your knees and roll all the way up to be on your knees. So in our kneeling position, we're going to come to face side on so that you can take your left leg out to the side. So my left foot is still in line with the right knee on the mat, but I've got one straight leg, one bent leg. Arms out to the side with the palms facing up towards the ceiling. Your hips and your chest are all facing straight forward. If you find that this is painful on your knee, put some extra padding under the knee, like a little towel or something to make it more comfortable. Now again, imagine that glass pane in front of your body. So you're stuck up against a big glass door. There's no movement, there's no room for rotation. You stay against the glass door, you just lengthen your spine over to the side until you feel like you're in line with your left leg. So you're one straight stripe all the way along. Keep your body there and just the arms are going to lift to be in line with your ears more or less. Then open your arms again and lift yourself back up over your bent leg. So breathe in as you lean out to be in line with your straight leg. Exhale as the arms lift but the shoulders stay down. Open the arms again. Lift the body back up over your knee. Let's do 2 more. Breathing in, lean. Find those side obliques. Lift the arms. Open them. Coming over the bent knee. Last one. As you lean, think about everything lengthening. Stay against your glass pane. Float the arms up. Open them. Lift yourself back over your knee and then switcheroo the legs. So now we'll have our right leg out to the side, or if you had the other leg, just to the other leg. Palms facing up, arms out to the side. Hips shine forward, and then you're going to lean to be in line with your straight leg. Make sure that your bottom hip is still facing forward in this position. Then bring the arms up in line with the ears, open the arms, and lift yourself back up. Inhale, we lengthen and lean out to the side. As the arms go up, keep the shoulder blades dropping away from the ears. Open, lift. 2 more, breathing in, lean. Exhale, like a little pretty ballet move. The arms go up, out, and you lift through your waist. And let's go one more time. Lean, arms go up, out, and we lift. And then you can relax the arms and come back onto your hands and your knees. Hands under shoulders, knees under hips. Then we're going to take the left leg out to the side of the room in this position. So from a 4-point kneeling, video Sue's going to get there, I think. There we go. My leg goes out to the side. So again, my foot is in line with my knee, like we had it when we were doing the side kneeling series. Already, you might feel a bit of an inner thigh stretch if your inner thighs are a bit tight. So you're going to be looking just ahead of your hands on the mat, and then in this position we're going to push through the hands and send your hips backwards towards your foot behind you. As far as you can go comfortably without any kind of pain, it's just a stretch. Then come forward over your hands again, and then almost like a Superman, lean into your right hand, glide your left hand forward. So the same hand as the straight leg goes forward. It's going to go up to the ceiling. You're going to look at the hand and you're going to do a big rotation through your arm, through your chest. Drop the arm back down onto the floor under your shoulder and then push the bum backwards towards your foot again. So we just repeat. We're on a little loop. We come forward, glide the left hand forward, rotate your whole body, look at the hand, draw your circle, place the hand. Let's do it one more time. Push back towards the foot. Then come forward over the hands, glide your left hand forward, rotate all the way around, plant the hand back into the mat and switch the legs. Bending the left one, taking the right leg out to the side, so all the way out to the side. You don't want to have to adjust your left leg too much. This is about the straight leg getting the stretch. push through the arms, send your hips back, just as far as you feel you can go. Maybe you go further than me, maybe you don't go as far. Then we come forward again. So now it will be your right hand that glides forward, up, push through the arm that's on the mat, rotate everything around, plant the hand, push the hips back, and we're back on our little loop. So we stretch the inner thigh. Come forward over the arm, circle your right hand forward, up and around, big rotation, plant the hand. One more time, press back. And then come forward over your hands again. Bring that right hand forward, up, big circle around, plant the hand back down onto the mat, bending both knees, and then press back into your rest position from there. So we're going to go straight to this position, opening the knees out, pushing the hips down towards the feet. Arms just stretched out in front of you. You want your forehead to be able to rest on the mat, though if it's not touching the mat, you can have your forearms underneath your forehead, your arms underneath your head if you need that. Hold it for 2 breaths. Then we're going to come forward onto hands and knees again. Hands under shoulders, knees under hips, this time with your toes tucked in underneath you. Get a nice strong arm position, broaden through your shoulder blades before you press up into your downward facing dog, sending the hips up to the sky, eyes looking at your feet. While you're looking at your legs, let your right knee bend slightly and try to push your left heel down towards the mat. Just stretch the back of that leg and then switch over to the other leg, doing a little walking action through the legs. You can do 1 more each leg. Then get both of the legs to straighten relatively. They don't have to straighten completely, but just get them to be the same. And then start to pivot forward from your shoulders as if you're thinking about going into a plank. Bend your knees as if you're about to put them down on the mat back in a 4-point kneeling, but stop just before your knees actually touch the floor and hold it there. So you're in a little floating plank position and we hold it in an imaginary 4-point with the knees hovering for 3. And breathe deeply, and 2. Keep pushing through the arms. Last 1. Then you can actually let the knees touch the mat. Glide your hands backwards to your knees, roll up to your knees, and step one of your feet out in front of you so that you're in a little lunge position. Use your hands if you need to. We're going to use the legs to just push up to standing so that we're standing, feet hip width apart, lengthen up tall. Inhale, reach the arms up overhead. Exhale, float arms back by your side, curl your head forward and softly bend your knees for your last roll down of the session, melting forward and down as though your head was this heavy object pulling you towards your mat. Breathe in at the bottom. Exhale, draw the tummy muscles in, keep the knees a little bit bent, and roll back up through your spine until you are standing. And then we're all done. Thank you so much for joining. I hope you enjoyed the session.